one of my favorite like biochemistry teachers, he talked about how in this book he talked about how he struggles with depression for all of his life for the most part. And he was talking about how just intaking more tryptophan won't necessarily alleviate your depression. And it's so true. We don't, like you can't take your diet into just like one context. Like our diet is like every single thing that we do, our diet is responding to the light. So like even if I am eating a lot of tryptophan, like I could eat majority of my tryptophan like right at 9 p.m., like right when I'm about to go to bed. And it's gonna be different, right? Like, cause my metabolism, my body temperature is gonna stay up, my heart rate's gonna stay up through the night, my HRV is gonna be a bit lower. When am I eating this? How am I interacting with the environment in the context? So there's a difference between eating that tryptophan at 9 p.m. versus eating it at 8 a.m. or even 9 a.m., right? Because the light cycle is different. And our biology is all about, I was looking for my little cell picture. I don't know where she is. She's always nearby. She's never far. She's never far. Because I just always like look at her. She's my muse to look at the cell. But our body is like, it's all about light. Our mitochondria is all about light. And so, when you're eating your food in the morning and you're going out in the sunlight and exposing yourself to light, that's how we get into our circadian rhythm, into our flow, our balance within the body. And like the light is not, it's not different for anybody. It doesn't, like the sunlight is not racist, not sexist, it doesn't care about your religion. Like our human bodies, all the plants and the animals, like we all respond to light. It's so beautiful because I love how we all have these animal cells. Like I love what makes us similar because, everybody is different. And that's what people, have said. I remember people telling me that, like yelling at me that, about like, Rachel, everybody's body's different, like I'm not going to do the same thing you're going to do and get the same results. And it's so true, but it's also true that we are a lot alike. And, like I have this interesting way of looking at this, like alikeness and differences from people because I've grown up as a twin and like a majority of like the beginning of my life, a lot of people would get me confused with my sister or not be able to tell us apart. And, we do have our differences. We are fraternal. We do look a lot alike, being fraternal twins, but I remember me and Robin, my sister, his name is Robin, and like we would come out of our rooms and just happen to be wearing the same shirt, happen to be dressed in the same little outfit, and like, did we plan it? No. Do great minds think alike? Perhaps. But, in my mind, it was like, oh, it's not a big deal, because I'm an individual no matter what, and these people might get us confused no matter what, but I'm always me, and people always see you differently than you see yourself. And I always tell the people, like, now I work at a restaurant, I serve at a restaurant, so like I'll be training the new servers, and it's so cute to watch how nervous they are in front of their tables sometimes. And I just say to them, I'm like, everyone loves you and nobody cares. And it's so true because when you expect people to love you, like when you walk in a room and you are just like waiting to be loved and to give love, like people sense that about you, like they sense that little sweetness about you, as opposed to like if you are guarded and assuming that others are meant to hurt you. Like what we put out in the world, like our light capacity, we're always emitting light, like a body temperature, right? Like you touch your temperature, you like Wi-Fi router, but we're always emitting like energy and information, like your hormones. Like they say surround yourself with good people because you end up reflecting hormones with people. If you hang out with people who have bad habits and who have a lot of high cortisol, you will reflect that. And so the environment is important, the context is important when it comes to food. How are you helping that food to break down? Because like you could be doing, I say all the time, I went through a rough period in the winter. You could be doing like all of the right things physically, you know, like I was working out, I was eating the good food, I was getting rest at night. But still, like, the situation that I went through in my life, like, it was like emotionally, it was so emotionally upsetting, and like my spiritual metabolism was just rolling. So even though like I was eating healthy foods, like my body, because my nervous system was in the stress response, you know, going through these little thought cycles about the events that happened. Um, you know, I was not breaking down, I was not interacting with the food in the same way. I was not interacting with the sunlight in the same way. Like when I was going out in the sunlight, like I would have like, I had these like skin, like autoimmune type symptoms I was going through. And like it would just flare up and my skin would get dry, you know? And it's like I had to really sit down and remember that like your diet is everything. It's your, also a large part of that is your ability to like sit still and be with yourself, and like go through the process of meditation if you are like in a high fight or flight response. And you know, if you are in this place where you're trying to change things in your life and like maybe you do have a lot of inflammation, you're having trouble with stress, I do recommend that you get the book Breath by James Nestor. That book changed my life. It changed everything, changed the way that I slept, worked out, and like it taught me a lot about meditation, and the brainwave states, because we can intentionally slow down our breathing and communicate with our immune response. You know, Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, he actually documents how meditation, teaches people how to meditate, and how it changes our gut microbiome, how it changes our immune markers. And it's so fascinating, you know, to know that. And it's also like, I'll read this quote again because like I've also been having trouble just slowing down and sitting still, and I've just been loving caffeine a little bit too much. I'll be honest, I've been drinking a little bit too much coffee, like especially late in the day, and I know that I kind of need to change things up there. But the change happens right after you're fed up with yourself. You know, you don't have to get to a rock bottom place with your health. You don't have to have like a major diagnosis, or you don't have to wait till you're forced to choose a different direction. You know, you can just start slowly with building habits in the morning that kind of line your biochemistry up to be in a healthier place, to be in a more peaceful state. And, you know, I was talking to someone the other day, they said, you don't know what I'm going through, like I'm so stressed. And it's true, like I can only experience what I'm experiencing, but we always have a choice. You are with health and peace. Like that's why like the book A Course in Miracles I always talk about, you know, even though you are stressed and there may be a lot of things going on in your life, like you will either choose your cortisol, you're either going to choose your stress response, or you're going to choose to be at peace. You know, and they say like we're not our emotions. You know, we're being able to step back from that and see that these emotions are just coming up, and it's just something to experience and cry through or move through or just sit and breathe through. But you know, you always have a choice about whether you want to choose your the side of your nervous system that is peaceful, and or that cortisol state. And it's like no matter what, everything is gonna work out in our favor. Like everything up until this point, like it kind of amazes me, you know, like the body amazes me, because like we can be cut by paper and like bleed. Like we are so fragile, yet we're so strong. And it's like, I mean, I'm 28 years old. It's like I think of certain, you know, think of like back in time where how like the lifespan used to be so much shorter for people, as they used to die. Like a lot of babies died in childbirth. A lot of mothers died in childbirth. You know, even now I think of like different species, like a fly. What do they say? The fly lives for like a few days. You know, like we live for so long. And I called my grandpa the other day because he turned 88 years old, and I said, Papa, do you remember what it was like to be 28? And he was just like, that was a long time ago. And he was like, where's the time gone? You know, it just kind of like, it just goes by. You know, you look back and it's like, you know, your life has gone by in just a glimpse. And it's hard on a daily basis, especially like when we're younger, to be like, you know, we get so caught up in being anxious and trying to do things really fast. And I'm like fighting for my life to slow down and to just like practice my meditation, practice what I'm saying in these videos. So I don't believe in coincidence. I have this little deck that I pick a few random cards. First one that popped out is you are solid. You know, you are solid. You're solid in your energy. You're solid in your light. Wherever you're going, whoever you're meeting, like, you know, there's nothing that can shake you. There's nothing that can, you know, ruin your sense of peace, or like there's nothing that can dull your happiness and your light. You know, like, you are solid. You are solid. And, you know, if you don't believe that you're solid, like, reinforce your physical, your masculine nature. Go for a walk in the morning. Have your amino and fatty acids. You know, when I had a diet that was like enforcing darkness and weakness, like, I didn't always feel strong. So now, like, when I'm eating my stuff, I'm doing my exercise, doing my meditation, it like reinforces this idea that I actually am solid. Like, I'm gonna be all right. You know, you put some muscle in your skeleton, you know, and then like, your skeleton just stays in place, like posture muscles. You're safe. You're safe. Oh, another important one. You are safe. You are safe. When you sit down in your meditation, you can just, they say, like, you know, meditation is designed to, like, you know, monitor the thoughts that you're thinking about. Me, like, I have trouble slowing down my thoughts. And so, like, I just try and focus on my breath and trying relaxing my body. Instead, I just try and feel into different muscle groups in my body. Like, I feel into my calves, I feel into my glutes, into my hips, I feel into my heart, I feel into my neck, into certain areas of my brain, especially like the brain stem back here. Try and feel into your cerebellum. Our brain stem is like a large part of like our respiratory system. It's a large part of our muscle tone, and it's a lot of the reptilian response, and you know how we're, you know, how our posture is in the world. It's a lot of the autonomic function of the body. I'll just pick one more last one. Reconcile your differences. For me, that card always reminds me about just circadian rhythm and balance. Reconcile the differences, the symptoms that you may be having in your body. When I think of differences, I'm even thinking of like the cortisol, testosterone balance. Like, if you're in a place where your cortisol is like dominating your biochemistry, your biology, your thoughts, and your anxiety, reconcile your differences. What can I do to balance this biochemistry out in my body? What is the precursor that builds testosterone? You know, all of our steroid hormones are coming from cholesterol, from healthy fats in the diet. And also, in order to allow the body to feel safe, we need plenty of minerals and nutrients. If we are in the stress response, I'm not looking for certain single supplements to, you know, nitpick at. I want to make sure that I'm getting a blanket of nutrients when I eat. Animal-based proteins have all of these: zinc, B vitamins, iron, creatine, taurine, and the healthy fats. So if you are in the stress response, you know, go for these whole foods that are going to, again, blanket you, right? Like, if I'm in the stress response, I'm just a scared child. I am stressed. I've been in this stress response for longer than I even know. So let me just nourish my body. Let me cover myself and give myself everything that I need so that I can feel better, you know, so I can reconcile my differences. So anyway, if you watched this video so far, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. We're just taking it one day at a time. When people ask me how I'm doing, I'm just taking it one day at a time. And yeah, I just send all my love to you. Remember that your immune function is your intuition. And I'll end with this quote: may you always be blessed with the clarity to know what is and what isn't for you. Just listen to that little inner voice that's always guiding you. You know, if you, for some reason, you want to stay home and be on your own, like I'm a lot of the time like that, you know, it's okay to be on your own in your own energy, and to be just quiet and reflective on everything that you've been doing in life, you know. And yeah, write down your dreams, because you never know what's going to come up. You never know when you look back, and you start to put some patterns and stuff together like that. So anyway, you can like, share, and subscribe if you want to support this channel. But as always, I wish you the best of luck.